You're watching Coast Life, and we've already introduced you to a fair amount of interesting and incredible people along Delmarva's coast. And joining us today are another couple of cool kids. We got Steve and Lorrie Walker. They are from Lewes. They are prop masters. Welcome to Coast Life.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Of course. So to start us off, if someone doesn't know, what is a prop master?
The job of a property master is to find and provide to the actors anything that is scripted for that actor to be handling. And we start out by doing a breakdown where we go through the script, highlight everything for each actor, and thoughts about what the background might be doing while the actor's doing his thing. And
the background could be a few people in one scene, or like we did West Wing, the cameras for the news crew. You know, when the news, somebody comes out and there's 8 million news people there, we got to get all the cameras and all the flashes and the microphones and the recorders and all that stuff. And so it can be a protest, all the protest signs, you know, all that kind of stuff in the background that make a show, you know, make it real.
And also props is responsible for their character's continuity.
Sure.
Which most people don't really think about, but you'll shoot a scene where an actor is going into an office building with, you know, the briefcase on his left shoulder and a cup of coffee, and then you'll cut to the inside where he's going into his office.
Which may be in a studio a week later.
Okay. So remember that briefcase was on his left shoulder and he had a cup of coffee.
So what are some tips to keep that continuity straight? Asking for a friend.
In our days, it was Polaroids.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Now you got your phone and you just use a million. We were just into the phone thing at the end of our life as prop masters. But back then it was Polaroids, and you took tons of Polaroids of every actor when they came on set and before they left.
And you wrote the
get
scene
Polaroid
number and the take number.
So you had these stacks and stacks of stuff, and every time you came out, you had to look through and, you know, file. It was a pain in the butt.
Have you organized?
But yeah.
So you've worked on some really incredible, well-known movies, but you live right now in Lewes, is that right?
Yes.
That's incredible. So what is it like kind of going from the big time to a kind of slower, lower Delaware?
Wonderful.
Love it. It's really fun because there's so many people down there that we had a lot of friends that were in the business that actually got us to Lewes.
Nice.
A casting director and a producer that we've been friends with for years, both live there, and another guy that was an assistant director lives there. So.
Wow. Okay.
Now, when it comes to acquiring some of those props, there's a bit of shopping involved, right? Like,
how
do you go from your written list of things that you need to actually acquiring all the things?
That was the most fun because, especially when it was a period film. So we'd spend hours and hours scouring antique malls with a list. It was like a scavenger hunt.
And we get to go antiquing with somebody else's money
and
get paid for it. I mean, what's a better job than that?
That's a great job.
The antique dealers were all very jealous of us.
I'm sure.
And I think when we did it, this was pre eBay and all that.
Yeah.
So we had to actually find the stuff, which was so much fun. Now they just go online and look it up.
Yeah, so I guess sort of through your career, how have you seen the industry of being a prop master change?
I think that's the main way, because as she said, we used to have to search every piece. Now you can get catalogs, or you can just look on your phone, go to eBay, put in the thing, show it to the director, you can punch in a bunch of pictures. We did that on our last film, My One and Only, with Renee Zellweger, where we would just send a picture to the director and say, will this work? And he'd say yes, and then we can get it.
Oh, before that, you'd take Polaroids, you'd make a folder, a file folder, and have all your Polaroids, have to have a meeting with a director to go through each one.
Wow.
Now
what did the timeline look like? How long did you have to get all that together before you needed it on set?
I think Liberty Heights, we had like 6 weeks of pre-production. Pecker, the John Waters film, 2 weeks.
Depends on the budget.
Just depends on the budget and time.
Yeah,
Cool, awesome.
and when it's 2 weeks, it's really tight.
Yes, well, you have worked on a number of movies on the Eastern Shore, and we're going to get to those. There's more Coast Life on the way.
You're You're watching Coast Life, where we were just talking with our prop masters about continuity in movies.
Yes.
So the smallest thing can go unnoticed or sometimes really noticed on a well-known TV show or movie. What's different?
Something a little bit different from before we took the break.
What do you notice?
Something about your hair.
Oh, is it different?
I'm actually curious if
We
people
messed that
notice.
up?
Yeah, right. I kind of want to let people at home know, hey, if you did notice Leah's hair, can you let us know? Because we thought it might be slick, but of course our professionals here.
Nothing gets by them.
Yes, definitely. So during the break, we were talking about something called prop angels. Let's jump right into that. We're curious
Yeah.
what that is. What's a prop angel? And I heard you have some stories.
Well, we called them prop angels. They were things that happened that it was like we had angels with us.
Nice.
One of my favorites was I was doing, it was a commercial back in the commercial days with WJZ, which is the channel in Baltimore. And the scene was for the newscasters to have kites. And we were up on Fort McHenry on the hill, which is notorious for the great wind. So we were up there, everybody had a kite, and there was no wind.
Oh, God.
And I thought, oh, I'm going to get fired. What am I going to do? There was nothing I could do. And this woman was sitting on a park bench over on the side. She walks up and she says, I couldn't help but notice you're having some difficulty. I happen to be the past president of the National Kite Flyers Association. Could I be of assistance?
What?
So she went to each of the newscasters, rigged the, tweaked this, tweaked that, did things, and up the kites went, and the day was saved,
there.
and I was hired again.
Oh my gosh. What are the odds of that?
And then probably 10 years later, now I put her card in my Rolodex. I don't know if you know what a Rolodex was.
Yeah.
It was this little spinning thing you put business cards in.
Yep.
So about 10 years later, we were on a film called Washington Square, which was 1850s. We filmed it in Baltimore, and they wanted to open the opening scene, a big crane shot looking down on Washington Square, and they wanted the children to be going by flying kites. So we needed kites that were appropriate for 1850. So I go to my handy Rolodex, call her up, and tell her what we're doing, and she was thrilled to help.
Yeah.
She made the kites.
Wow.
Oh.
She gathered the children that she had been doing kite stuff with, and they all came down and got in period costume, she in her corsets, because when you dress for the period, they dress you from the inside out, so you can feel like those people did with all the stuff on.
Uncomfortable.
Yes,
Yeah, very.
probably.
So that pulled off the scene.
There you go, yeah.
So I had a story when we were doing a commercial with Cal Ripken at Baltimore, the Memorial Stadium.
I'm a big fan.
And back then, there was a groundskeeper that kept a tomato patch out in center field behind the fence. And so for some reason, they wanted him to go out and pick a tomato off the plant. Well, it was April.
Oh,
And the
gosh,
plant,
plants yet.
plants are this big around here. So I happened to be in a drugstore in Hamden.
Grocery
And
store.
for some reason, in a grocery store, and for some reason, I'm telling the checkout girl my dilemma, and the woman behind me said, "Oh, I started a bunch of plants in February, and they're 3 feet tall. Could I help you with them?" And I said, "I'll give you $50 apiece for them." She was happy, we were happy, and we had to get. I still have a signed plastic tomato that we wired up onto them. We put all these plastic tomatoes that look great.
So what are the odds that she grew her tomatoes early, and also
all
she
right.
was behind you?
Right.
I know. I mean, that's why we call them my prop angels.
Yeah.
That is so
absolutely.
cool.
We must have been living right.
100%.
Yeah. Then the other side of it is the
The goofs.
The
You
goofs.
say everybody has, you have your moments of prop angels, but
It-
you got
it's-
the moments of the prop goofs as well. Do
right.
you
We
guys have
started
some of
off
those?
on Liberty Heights, a Barry Levinson film. I had found this wonderful old photograph book that was cigarette packs that somebody had meticulously laid out from beginning of cigarettes to the present, and so we
Unfolded and laid out flat.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've refolded them, repacked them, put the cellophane on from today, the stuff in, and we made cigarette packs from '52, because that was the date of the film. Chesterfield's hadn't changed at all, except for the barcode. It was the only difference. And they're doing, it's right in the beginning of the film, it was the first day of shooting, and there's this girl doing this sexy dance at the thing, and the guys are watching them through the thing. And he said, let's put a cigarette pack under the edge of her bathing suit. They used to do that.
Last minute.
Last minute. So I went and grabbed a pack of Chesterfields, and she sticks it in. And unfortunately, she turned it with the barcode
She
showing.
picked up one of the wrong packs.
Oh no.
And we saw it as it was being filmed, and so I went to there is a continuity person. And I said,
Heads
that
up.
just happened. And she said, don't say a thing, just let it go. So we were waiting,
We didn't sleep a wink that night.
Oh no.
but nobody ever noticed it. So it's probably on one of those websites that has all the goofs
Right.
from movies.
Yeah. Well, before we let you go, tell us a little bit about some of the films that you've worked on the Eastern Shore.
Okay, there were 4. Clara's Heart, that was the Whoopi Goldberg film. Silent Fall, and that was Richard Dreyfuss and Linda Hamilton. And,
Swimmers.
Swimmers was a little indie film,
Uh-huh.
but that had Cherry Jones and
Sarah Paulson.
Sarah
It was
Paulson.
one of
It
her
was-
first.
It was her first
What?
film.
That's awesome.
And then,
Tuck Everlasting.
Tuck
Tuck
Everlasting.
Everlasting, right, that was the big one.
Yes,
Yeah.
well known, yes.
And that one, I think you had said before that the props took you through a couple different time periods, right?
From the 1800s to the present.
Yeah.
Or 1700s, actually, in
Yeah.
one scene was early 1700s. So that was an interesting prop experience for
Yeah.
us to cover all that time period in one film.
Very cool. I don't think I'm going to watch movies the same anymore. I'm
I
going to be
know.
looking for prop continuity because of you two. So thank
Yeah,
you
watch
so much.
watch the ties, cigarettes and
Yep.
candles.
Now we gotta watch ourselves.
They're the big ones.
And Leah's hair. Exactly. Well, thank you so much. You taught us a lot. We are so happy to have you here today.
You're
And
welcome.
we'll be
Thank you.
Of course, yes. We'll be back with more Coast Life on the way.